If you're struggling with hiring the best people for your small business, well, you have to ask the best questions. Check this out. Who you hire for your small business is the most important thing that you can do. And in this message, we're going to talk about how to ask the best questions and the best hiring techniques to make sure that you're doing that. Another report came out from the Florida Small Business Association saying that most small businesses continue to struggle with hiring quality people into their business. Every role that you hire in your small business should be the most important role, regardless of what that role is. Everybody from an executive to the janitor, if that's who you have, every role is important and means a lot to the success of your company. Hey, and if this is your first time here, my name's Joey, aka That Small Biz Guy, and I am on a crusade to help small business owners like yourself improve your small biz life. And by the time that we get to the end of this message, there will be no doubt that you will have the best question to take into an interview that you'll be able to hire the best people and bring them into your company. So make sure that you've got pen and paper with you. You're going to want to write these down. In fact, this is the second in a 3-part series about how to hire the best employees. And again, I'm coming to you from the kitchen because the kitchen is where the greatest conversations, the most deepest, intimate, life-changing conversations are made. And that's what we're doing here today. All right, one of the questions that you want to ask when you're doing an interview, and I typically always start out this way, is I ask the candidate to walk me through their career path. I am probably going to have their resume in front of me, and what I want to know is I don't want to know what they did in each of the roles that they had, because they've kind of given me some information there. What I want to know is how they got this first job. What brought them in? Were they a referral? Were they recruited? How did they get into that first job? And then from there, I want to know the same thing from job to job to job. Walk me through. Why did you leave? How did you get here? Why did you leave? How did you get here? What I'm looking for in those questions is I want to hear that I was recruited, I was recruited, I was recruited. If that's happened, that's probably a really great candidate if they have the skills that fits the role that you're looking to put them in. Walk through how they got from one job to the next one. It is a wealth of information that will really help you determine if this is a good candidate. And one additional piece to this is, how did they get to you, in front of you, for the interview with you? What brought them there? If they're currently employed with somebody, what's bringing them in? And if they're not employed, what happened to there, and how did they find you? And what is their vision? What is their reasoning for what they can accomplish by working with your small business? Another great question that you want to ask is, what is the most satisfying accomplishment that you've had in your career? What you want to hear in the answer to this question is, really, it's going to show you what they value. They're going to tell you from this question that they accomplished something and it a standout in their head. So it's something that they really value. And for you as the business owner to hire this person, you want to see if this is something that matches to what you're offering and what you know that role is going to be. If the stars line up here, that is a really great sign for you. Now, they don't have any great accomplishments. That might be a red flag that you want to consider. Maybe this isn't the person that I need to bring on. Another question that I heard that I thought really would work great and to work into an interview is this question, is, if you didn't have to work, what is it that would bring you into the office here to come perform your duties? That is looking really on the inside about what their passion is, what their mission is, and why they want to come to work with you. So really dig in here to find out what their motivation is, what their motive is about wanting to come to work with you, to see their drive and their passion when money's not involved. Great question to ask. Another great question to always ask in an interview is, describe to me what your best and worst workday look like? What you want to hear is, what was their best day? What did that look like? What was the reason it was the best? What was the project or the thing that they were working on that really was one of the greatest? You know, they tell you that, oh, the best work they ever had was we had a office party and blah, blah. That's probably not going to give you long-term wins. What you want to find out is what the worst day was. That's going to reveal a lot too. If their work day revolved around some interaction with a coworker or a boss or a customer, that's really going to give you a lot of insight to how they interact with other people. So this is a great question that will reveal to you a lot of how they interact with others. The next really great question that you want to ask somebody in an interview is, what's the hardest part about working on a team? Now, even if you're a small company and there's only 2 or 3 of you, maybe 4 of you, it could be 10 or 12, it doesn't matter, but you're always going to be interacting, working with other people in your company. And what you want to find out here is, when you ask them what's the hardest part of working on a team, this is really going to reveal to you how they work with each other in the company. Watch for their comments. You know, obviously you don't want to hear that there was any challenge, any difficulty. You want to hear something to the effect of, well, you know, everybody's got their own uniqueness about them, and I can work with anybody because I understand that. When they start giving you some, you know, tough answers, you got to think, man, they're talking about somebody. I know this person that I already have on my team's personality is a lot like that, so this might be some headbutting here. This is going to give you a lot of great insight about how they're going to work internally with your team. Okay, this is a question that I personally love using when I'm doing an interview, and that is this: what is it that I didn't ask you that you wish I would have? Sometimes they want you to know that they've got this skill, or they've got this capability, or they have this like superpower that they use to accomplish projects or goals or sales or whatever it is that they really love doing. And this gives them a way to shine and really give you some information that shows you, here's the skill that, man, I really need you to know about because I really think this is going to help me in this role. Of course, if they don't have anything and it's just a bare bones interview and they're not giving you a bunch of feedback, you got to consider, is that the type of person that I want in this role in my company? But this is a great question. Now, as a side note here, I've used this in the past too, and it's very revealing. You just got to be careful with it. And that's to ask this tweak on that question. Is there anything that you were hoping I would not ask you in this interview? I've had people give me some interesting answers that really revealed a lot. Something to consider, but definitely include in your interview questions, is there anything that I didn't ask that you wish I would have? Now, this next one is an interesting question I think you ought to include in your interview process. Now, I'll explain why, but here's the question. Is there anything that we could do in an interview process that we can improve on? So that's a fair question. Now, what you're looking for here is, number one, is be selfish about it. Get some feedback about maybe what you're doing good or what you're doing bad. Was the ad you run in a bad place? Did it not make sense? If they're telling you, well, I thought this was this type of role and now I'm here and it's this type of role, you know, that's a place where you can improve your clarity up front to get good candidates in and not waste time like this. But it's also a way that you can find out if this person is willing to be frank, that they don't have trust issues, and that they can give you some honest feedback about how the process is. But it's a good way to start a conversation to see how they process questions that they've probably not ever been asked before. For me, I really like these unusual questions, and here's why. Most companies ask the same routine questions every time. People are kind of used to, one of the questions you're going to ask me is, sell me this pen, and they're prepared for that, or sell me this cell phone. Don't give them the usual questions that they're heard everywhere. You know, one of the things to me when I'm interviewing somebody and I ask a question and then they come back with, that's a really good question, kind of lets me know that I've hit spots where they haven't had that type of interview before. So you're really seeing the real person when you do that. Save this one for last, but ask this question because it will really reveal a lot to you. All right, here's a trick that I use also that I have found very rewarding and very revealing. And here's what I offer you to end your interviews with. Now, of course, you're going to do some typical questions that we didn't ask here. You know, I didn't do this one, but my first question typically is, tell me who we are and what we do. I want to know if they've done any research, any homework on this, to really come in prepared. That, to me, that reveals a lot. The last thing, after we go back and forth with they have their questions for me, the last thing that I offer them is this. And I'll role play here and tell you just exactly how I do it. Hey, I know you're probably going to have questions. As soon as you get out of here, you're going to think, why didn't I ask Joey such and such or such and such? And then 2 hours from now, you're going to think of another question that you wished you had asked me. So here's what I'm going to do for you. After you get to the house and all these things are coming up that you wish you had asked, email me. Here's my email address. Email me, but look, here's the rules, only send me one email. You know, if you got 4 or 5 questions in there, I'm good with that. In fact, I challenge you to ask me tough questions. Email me those questions and I'll get back with you. Remember, one email, if you've got 4 or 5 questions, stack them all up into the same email. So I offer that, and I often get an email back, and I love this because here's what this reveals to me. Number one is I get to see their communication style in the written format. We have so much email and written format back and forth electronics communications now between teammates and customers that I want to really see their skills in written communications. Is their grammar correct? Do they use the correct pronunciation? Did they not spell check something? What was the subject line? To me, guys, and maybe it's just me, the subject line is another key. Are they doing creative thinking? Because I really like looking for people that think creatively in their communications and before they present something to somebody. And did they ask really tough questions? Are they being bold? Because look, I want a rock star when I hire somebody. I want the Peyton Mannings of the world on the team. And I'm sure that's what you're looking for too. This is another great way to get a lot of information back when you get those emails back. Check the email, offer that to them. It's another great way also to see if they follow directions, because I'm always clear. One email, and I state, 4 or 5 questions, and I give them a time frame too. I might have neglected to say that part, but I give them a time frame over the next couple of days. Do this. It's, can they follow directions? Were they paying attention? If I get 2 or 3 emails over the course of 4 or 5 days out, and it's 40 or 50 questions, that's something to consider. That is a great last part of a great hiring interview process and great interview questions. Hey, maybe somebody you know owns a small business and they're in the process of doing interviews to fill a new spot. It would mean a lot if you would take a second and share this message with them. I would really appreciate that. And you know what? I know I didn't grab every great question that there is out there. You yourself probably have a question that you really love when you're doing an interview. Take some time, give me some feedback in the comments, or shoot me a message. Tweet me over on Twitter. My Twitter handle is @JoeyPeacock, and I'd love to have a conversation with you either place. Running a small business is tough, and I get that. But look, there's no reason to do it alone. If there's any way that we can help you grow your small business, improve your small biz life, I'm going to have a link to go with this message. Be sure to check that out and get up with us. It's a link to a little short survey. Really give us some heads up information so when we get back with you, we are really prepared to help you out. Hiring somebody in your business is the most important thing that you can do. Take these steps in your interview process and make sure that you're bringing in the best, most competent person that's going to help you grow your small business. Remember, Just because they can fog a mirror up does not mean that they're the perfect candidate for you. You want to weed through, ask great questions to make sure that you're hiring the best. Hey, I really appreciate you hanging out with me. I can never express how much I appreciate you carving out some time out of your day to spend with me to talk about this stuff. And I cannot wait to see you next time. Remember, until then, think creatively, remove the friction, and become uniquely better, and you will improve your small biz life. Until next time, I'm out of here.